Hey, welcome to episode 83 of Fresh Air at 5. This week is a short week because it was a long weekend, but then in there I missed a day, but that's okay because it's my podcast and I will miss a day here and there. Take a listen to the details of what's going on each of these 3 days that I talk, the topics that I talk about and that I listened and learned about, and it was fantastic to grow my mind. You growing your mind this summer? Are you? I really hope you are. I hope you're taking time every day to learn a little bit something new. Big thing for me is fishing. I learn a little bit about fishing a lot and super excited about opportunities there. That's my own personal hobby learning, but as far as school goes, I need to continue learning, and I am learning even though it's now vacation week. I'm thinking about school in the fall and how I can bring it. Okay, I could keep talking, but here we go. Episode 83, Fresh Air at 5. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Hi, I'm Steve Miletto from the Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood, to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at Fresh Air at 5 or check out my website, briancarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey, PLN Tuesday, August 2, 2022. Couple things. Welcome to August and welcome to the day after BC Day. Here in British Columbia, here we have BC Day. It's a family holiday at the beginning of August. And yesterday, we just got back from a family away weekend to Sun Peaks, where we went and saw the wildflowers. Absolutely spectacular. Got to go up there with our kids, and my oldest son, he golfed yesterday and went mountain biking with another buddy. And it was fantastic to get away and do something vacation-ish. Well, vacation started for me last Friday, as that was the last day of July school. Wrapped up report cards, handed those in, and we set off for the weekend. So it's pretty good. So Nick and Eric on Got Tech, the podcast, talked about their vacations a little bit at the beginning of their episode 117. And gents, it was great to hear that you got away and disconnected. Well, we kind of got away and disconnected. I mean, we got away, but we didn't really disconnect completely. We did other things, though, with our tech that we wouldn't normally do at home. And one of those things that we could fit into this episode 117, where Nick and Eric talk about 15 team building ed tech activities that you could use at the start of the year. You guys talked about a lot of great things. At the top, you talked about the paparazzi game, where you have to get a list of things and you can go take pictures of certain things around this room or the building, and that can be kind of like, a scavenger hunt. So if you go to my website, briancarpenter.com, BRYON carpenter.com, you'll see ed tech review that I did about a tool for iOS called Photo Scavenger Hunt, and in that you can make a scavenger hunt as the creator, share that QR code with your people, your students, and such like, and then share that with them, and then they got to go out and find these different objects. I put together one at the resort we were at, and had my family and friends run around and take pictures, and then they got to get them back to me at the end of the night. Then I mark them, and we get a prize. Hang on, one more thing. One more thing for August 2, 2022, continuing on with my thoughts about episode 117 of Got Tech, the podcast. I was talking about the Photo Scavenger Hunt app. You can listen to that and see my review of that and how to use that on my website, briancarpenter.com. All right, so Beyond that, you guys gave some fantastic ideas about how to get started. And I do agree that team building is an important part of our classrooms and our schools today. When I was going to school, not necessary, because we didn't do a lot of creative things on a regular basis, and we didn't work with others. And if we did work with others, that project, that we were supposed to work on with each other, we all had our jobs, and we did our jobs so we get the best mark possible and not being super creative with it. So take a listen to episode 117 for some ideas of ways you can get started with your students, getting to know each other, and it's such like, I heard this on Check This Out podcast from Ryan O'Donnell, I think a couple years ago, and he does a summer by numbers graphic at the beginning of the year with his class, and they'll have to find 10 or 12 different numbers that represent things they did through the summer. Like I went on one walk per day, and that number 1 could represent the 1 walk per day, and things like that. I ate 12 chocolate ice cream cones, and that could be the number 12. Then you got to find a graphic of an ice cream cone that goes along with that, or things like that. So that's another idea to toss in there. Oh my goodness, my wheels are turning now, just like you, Eric, as you're talking about these ideas. Fantastic to hear. Thank you so much for sharing. And teachers, share this episode with others because it can help them possibly get started at the beginning of the year. All right, talk to you. Till next time. Hey PLN, it's August 3, 2022, out here for Fresh Air at 5, and the question I have for you today is, what makes your neighborhood beautiful? What makes your neighborhood beautiful? I'm out, and you know what? I walk around here on a regular basis, but I don't take it for granted. I see the trees, I see the flowers, I see the blue sky, I see the sunshine today shining down on me. And like Tim Stevenson reminded me of on an episode of Science 360 recently, the same sun that's shining down on me is shining down on you if you're outside at 2:00 p.m. on Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022. And so I just want to say that I love where I live. Love it, love it, love it. So tell me, tweet back, how is your neighborhood beautiful? What do you see as beauty in your neighborhood? All right, that's the first part of this segment. All right, the second part of this segment is that I listened to episode 204 of House of Ed Tech with Chris Nesi. Talks about taking it to the ramp, and you'll have to listen to his Ed Tech Thought to hear more about that. But what does that mean, taking it to the ramp? What are you going to take to the classroom and try out this year that you haven't done before? So that's what that's all about. Really dig it. It's really good. And so thanks, Chris, for your Ed Tech Thought. Later in this episode of 204 of House of Ed Tech, he talks with Amanda Fox. And you know what? I'm running out of time, and you're going to have to go take a listen to what Amanda Fox has to say about the Canva Classroom. I can say that I'm going to go and buy your book, Amanda, because the Canva Classroom book, because I just heard brilliance on this podcast. And if that's anything like what your book is, it's going to help a whole lot. Using templates, using Canva in a way that it was probably maybe not intended for, but has the capacity to do. Things that teachers necessarily wouldn't think about. How can we maybe use that to work on school newsletters? That's something that I'm going to be considering this year as I'm losing my Google tools. And, if Canva can do a lot of things, maybe I got to get my students in this space. Question for you, Amanda. How many students can I have in Canva in my Canva classroom space as an educator? All right, thanks all. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Hey PLN, happy Friday, August 5th, 2022. Well, it's Friday, and if you've been listening along to the dailies this week, Carpenter missed Monday. He missed yesterday, and he's here today, and I'm glad I'm out today. Yesterday I missed my walk, had some things come up in the morning that distracted me from getting out the door. I could have gotten up early, but I didn't because I was going to go for a walk with a friend, and then that didn't pan out. So because of that, I missed my walk because I got going on my day things. But here I am. It's Friday, and there's a project that's going on right now with me, home project, and I'm not at liberty to talk about it right now, but there's the teaser. I'll tell you next week. So come back next week and find out what's going on in Carpenter's home for this project, because it's pretty exciting. I'll have some news for you one way or the other. All right. So with that being said, I listened to, I can't remember the episode number, from Tom Schimmer, and Tom Schimmer's show, and I can't remember, it's probably episode 76 or 77, maybe 78, but it's in there, or maybe higher. Sorry, Tom. As he was talking about disagreement and getting along with the opposition on a size of a topic, and divisiveness, and being willing to engage in dialogue with those that we don't agree with. Take a listen to this episode. I'll have it in the show notes, and I'll have, I'll put it in here in the one more segment coming up. All right, beyond that, he talked with Nathan Weir, I believe his name is Nathan Weir, about assessment in his book that I can't remember the name of right now. But Nathan, I appreciate what you had to say about grading and about the proficiency scale and how extending is distracting, and that we need to help students to be proficient. And what does extending matter? If they're proficient, that should be like an A. And finally, assess that with Tom and Nat. I'm coming back right now with some more information about the episode and my thoughts. Okay, hang on. Okay, one more thing for August 5, 2022. As I was listening to episode 78 of the Tom Schimmer Show, got it right now, he talked with Nathan Weir about his book that I still didn't get the title of. But the point is that I'm listening to a conversation around the transition from the don't give feedback and just give numbers and grades to giving more feedback, and how can we use standards-based approach to grading and the proficiency scale compared to letter grades and percentages and distribution in a bell curve in a high school as opposed to everybody getting A's. Or proficient, or that top level of understanding and being a learner. So gets me thinking. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Tom and Nathan, as you continue. Tom, I listen to you because I'm continuing my learning journey about assessment and changing my practice so that I'm being more feedback oriented and less about the grades. This past year with my 11s and 12s, I didn't give them very many grades, but I had a very good sense of how they were as a student and a learner, and I reflected that not through rubrics so much, but just through my own anecdotal observations about their performance and what they did, how they collaborated, created, thought critically, and communicated, and that all led me to a final number that I put into their report card that ends up on their transcript. So that was, for me, a big step of not marking everything. They had feedback from me a lot, but was it formal feedback? Did I write it all down? Not necessarily. All right, and then as we move into the last segment of the Tom Schimmer Show, episode 78, with Assess That with Tom and Nat. Tom and Nat, you guys talked about the difference between gradeless as one word to grade less as two words. And I like to hear that conversation, that we should grade and give marks out less, but still be grading. All right, have a great day. Bye.
As my My one word for 2021 is appreciate. I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Cold Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, Podcasts for Educators, Podcasts by Educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself because you're worth it.